Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell, we'll be talking about something that I am personally excited about. I do know that we have a lot of, on this channel, a lot of people that like wintry weather or just like cooler weather. And at this point, it is already late September, October, so I feel like a lot of people are perfectly fine with it, even if they are warm weather lovers. And basically, what I'm trying to get at is that we will be having a pretty intense fall blast of air that will be moving into the United States. This will be accompanied by a snow system, though it really won't be impacting our viewing area, or even much of Canada. Southern Canada won't get impacted by this. It will be kind of in central Ontario and maybe into northern Quebec. Nonetheless, that's the snow part. There will be a cold front that will be bringing rain into more of the viewing area, southern Canada and the United States, and obviously the cool weather behind it will potentially provide several areas with premature frosts. I mean, from my area, we could get a frost next week with this cool blast, and that would be definitely, wouldn't be record breaking, but it would be early, to say the least. There's been years where, late October we've seen frost, and early October would definitely be a little bit of a change, as recently we haven't had a lot of cool air in the fall time. We've had a lot of warm air, and the falls have seemed to drag on. And honestly, this one fall blast probably won't be able to change the whole pattern, and I do believe that fall will still be on average warmer, but nonetheless, let's just start talking about this. So do note we do have Hurricane Ian, obviously, just awful things that it did to Florida. Truly a incredible storm from the meteorological aspect, right? It was insane. It was very interesting. It was very, this storm will definitely be analyzed and digested through and studied. But in terms of, obviously, its impacts, it was truly some of the worst damage we've seen from a hurricane in a while. A lot of areas that haven't been hit hard since 2004. Hurricane Charlie, they were rebuilt, repaired, and now they're getting hit again. So yeah, it'll probably take years for certain areas to recover. So of course, my thoughts and prayers are with all of those that did get impacted by that. It is right now impacting southeastern United States. It is right now, I do believe, already made landfall. It's an extratropical storm, so basically it's almost pretty much like a low pressure. It is still producing strong winds and especially the heavy rain, and as it moves into the mountainous areas, that will definitely become more of a concern. However, the system will be weakening. You can see moving some moisture into the northeast. This is actually a silver lining of the system. A lot of the New England area, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, are in a drought. They are suffering from dry conditions, so some of this rain will definitely be beneficial, though you could see even that kind of misses the areas that most need it. That's kind of Mother Nature, right? Brings the stuff that we don't really want into the areas that really don't want it, and the areas that would like some rain, she just avoids, or at least it seems, right? Obviously, it's not that not that linear. Okay, but let's just start off. So right now we do have an area of, I guess, showers and storms across the west that is delivering some rain into just west or east of Las Vegas into southern Utah, Colorado, the mountains. There is some snow across Yellowstone, and you can see that will continue. However, you may be thinking, okay, so this is Monday, October 3rd, this upcoming Monday. Where is this cool down? And right now on this map, you wouldn't be able to tell that there is one coming, even if you're, good at weather analyzing. However, within the next few slides, you can start seeing that by Tuesday, it's still fine. It's a relatively warmer pattern. You can see that, especially for southern Canada and the northern United States, it's pretty warm. So this video may seem kind of inaccurate at that point. But do note that we do see this low pressure that is kind of still situated right now across the northwest, bringing those showers. It kind of moves out, and what that does is that it interacts with this cold front. You can see a large pool of cool air, and you could tell that because the lines are blue, and that means 540 is anything below 32 degrees. Obviously, that's a little bit inaccurate, but you could basically associate this 540 line with being below average cold air, at least for a good portion of this country here, or of the region here. And I said below average, just cooler air, let's just say that much. And the further south it goes, obviously the more below average it is, because these areas are on average warmer than up here. So that's seeing that line way up here at this time there isn't anything incredible. But notice this system starts interacting. It starts interacting with this cold front. How many times am I going to say that? You can see that there is snow that starts appearing again across. You can see even central to southern Ontario. This thing kind of starts inverting. It starts becoming more of a northern-oriented system. You can see basically what happens is the system is, moving just to the west. The low pressure, this cold front, has a very strong jet stream with it, relatively for this time of the year, and that causes the system to kind of change its trajectory while also just powering down the cold air to a I guess exaggerated extent than it would normally do. And notice that actually the amount of snow that occurs on the northern side of this into southern Canada, Thunder Bay, you'll definitely pick up your first snow, maybe even accumulating snow. And notice that this 540 line is spearheading into the United States. So at this point, late next week, a lot of the Midwest and northern Great Lakes will be dealing with quite a bit of chilly air. That will, if you're wondering the question, yes, that will turn on lake effect. And this time, it won't be just lake effect rain. The past week, there's been quite a bit of lake effect rain across the United States, across Michigan, the Great Lakes. I saw some amounts, even 3 to 4 inches. It was pretty impressive. But notice at this point, this system is completely, pretty much a raging snowstorm. You could even say a blizzard across central Quebec, central Ontario. Very limited, amount of people live there, but if, you do, then you will be seeing some pretty nasty snow out of that, and nasty, you could call it the first snowstorm. And notice that the lake effect is pretty intense, and obviously further south, it'll be a kind of a grapple rain snow mix, but further up north, UP, Marquette, Michigan, you might be seeing your first, again, accumulating snow for that. And notice that this lake effect is only possible because of this cold air that is running across a lot of this warm water, and notice that it spearheads, again, that 540 line is well into southern Ohio. So anywhere in that zone, you could expect your first frosts, and obviously further up north, freezes. Notice that this does kind of move out towards the weekend, the system, but the cold air lingers, especially for the northeast and New England. It lingers for a while, and then we have this kind of wraparound area of showers that moves in, which could bring some high elevation snow and just some downright low elevation snow for even big Canadian cities. So yeah, that cold air really lingers for southeastern Canada and northeastern United States for a while, much longer than it typically would. And actually, you can see that as I go out further and further, Maine and portions of southeastern Canada continue to be stuck in it as these systems kind of keep bringing the cool air. Notice the rest of the United States at this point, Michigan, right, you're pretty much cooler, you're warmer at this point. It's still going to be, nothing incredibly warm, but it's not going to be below average with lake effect. Notice the rest of the United States at this point would be rather quiet, though we do have some impressive storms potentially, still kind of the monsoons almost acting up in this part of the southwest, which is good. They need that rain, so that's definitely not a bad thing. And you can see that potentially maybe then will turn into some sort of a system and more cold air. We'll start seeing these invasions more and more frequently. So that is that. Let me go again and show you the temperature anomaly, just to show you how significantly significantly chilly this air will be. So this is now Tuesday, October 4th. So if you're wondering, you live across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're fine. If you have garden work, to do, or garden plants you want to protect or just bring indoors, right? Some you can't, like tomatoes, the season will be ended with this blast. Your squashes, your warm weather loving plants, then you should do that probably before Wednesday this upcoming week, and that really goes to towards Michigan, northern Indiana, northern Illinois, Iowa, Ohio, all of those areas, and you will get an alert from the National Weather Service most likely about a frost advisory. I can't really go into the county specifics because it's really hard to there's a lot of areas I could have to cover here, but again, just keep in mind Wednesday, Thursday is when it's going to be coming. So especially Thursday night for a lot of people is going to be chilly, because you can see Wednesday night it is just beginning to show its impression, and you're going to go from a warmer pattern, say across Minnesota, very nice warm Wednesday, to a pretty chilly and nasty Thursday, and you can see already the daytime highs will be much cooler. So this isn't showing our temperatures, it's just showing how below average or above average they are from that historical date. So if your average is 65 for Minneapolis, Minnesota at this time of the year, you will be probably in with this map 6 to 8 degrees Celsius, probably mid 50s, which that's quite a bit cooler. And entering the night, frost. There's just no way around that. And you can see that this thing is pretty expansive. It's not just limited to the northern United States. By Thursday night, it is affecting a lot of the United States. Again, a lot of these areas, especially away from urban centers and low-lying areas, will be seeing frosts and you can see that spreads into the northeast and eventually even into the southeast. So, if you live across the south and you want cool air, which I'm sure there's probably plenty of people that do, you will get a nice taste of this. I don't know if the south has seen much cooler weather in the past few weeks. I haven't been monitoring as closely, but you'll definitely feel some crisp mornings next weekend, or if this comes true, which again, I'll show you the European model. Most models are indicating this. And notice that this cold air lingers, especially for the northeast and southeastern Canada. We do get the heat returning, especially you can see some of those anomalies right there are very impressive. But again, it's more of a progressive pattern at this point, and I don't think it's going to be just a one single warm or cold pattern. It'll be kind of a fluid exchange. So let's go back and let me show you some of these 2-meter temperature shaded. So now this is finally the thermometer, right? Notice that even prior to this cool down, we're already seeing some pretty chilly nights across, the Great Lakes, the Northeast. But once this cool down arrives, a lot of people will really get kind of slapped in the face from this. Notice the day before Wednesday, Minneapolis, you're in the mid-70s. I mean, that's gorgeous, right? And then again, you can see Wednesday night things really chill down very significantly in that cold front, and they only warm things up into, again, the lower 40s, upper 40s, mid 50s. And you can see the warm air still present across the northeast, but by Thursday afternoon, that cold air reaches you as well. There will be some showers, some scattered rain. Nothing too incredible in terms of precip, but this cold weather. I mean, you can see a lot of these areas will be seeing frost and just downright freezes. Frost is anything below 34, so that's kind of in this lighter shaded, and freezes. You'll basically, come Thursday, you'll see the National Weather Service map if you're used to looking at that, on a daily or even semi kind of weekly basis or semi daily basis. You will be looking at a map that is full of freezes and watches and warnings of, with related to the cold weather, as this is probably for many areas the first freezes they'll be getting. You could see this is now moving into the northeast. I mean, the large metros, Indianapolis, Lexington, Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, Columbus, Erie, maybe even the coastal cities of New York, Boston, seeing some frost, though it does seem that you will have a little bit of impact from the ocean kind of warming you still, so maybe not necessarily there, but anywhere upstate and away from the big cities, definitely a healthy threat. And I know for my area, we haven't dipped below even the 40s once yet, right? And come Friday nights, it's pretty much gonna be in the lower 30s. So I'm taking very special regard to this and monitoring anything in the garden that has to go before frost and freezes. Anything I want to protect and whatnot. So that is that. Again, in terms of the total accumulated precipitation, a little bit of showers, a little bit of rain. I would say the most impressive part will be the lake effect that falls after this. And in some areas, it could actually be pretty impressive. Now, obviously, you can see it's pretty limited, the footprint, but lake effect is very localized. It's hard to predict. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do have several areas pick up multiple inches. Again, you won't be seeing feet of snow. It's just not cold enough for that yet. Especially right there, you can see a good chance for some inches. And then, of course, across southern Canada, as you saw right there, there's that snow system that, could be delivering quite a bit of snow. And, obviously not really populated up here, but if anyone does, you'll be seeing over a foot of snow at least. And the mountain snow across the west is beginning to, sweep lower and lower into the elevations. And that's actually another impressive thing that's not really correlated directly with the cold air, though it's enhanced by it. A lot of precipitation across the southwest, areas that need it. So that's actually very, very kind of hopeful for those areas. A good thing. And that's basically, you can see that in terms of big storms, we won't be seeing any of those for a while, excluding that blizzard there, and potentially maybe some events across the southwest. We forgot to show you the European model. Again, really similar things. The European does differ slightly though from the GFS, and that's basically, I believe last time I saw it didn't take the cold air as far south as the southeast. Though I may be mistaken. So again, the early part of this week and the rest of this weekend, or the whole weekend, it's Friday, it will be very warm for a good part of the country, except where the cloud cover and some rain showers across the southeast from Ian and with monsoon moisture. But notice by late week, next week, so again, it's still a little bit away, we start seeing that cool air move in, and, well, never mind, the European does show that cool air moving in even as far as the southeast, so you can see the models are in pretty good agreement, relatively far out, but it's not in La La Land, so there's still probably going to be some changes, but I'm pretty confident in making this video, that this will be occurring, and I just want to give you guys a heads up on that. You can see that the anomalies are pretty comparable to what the GFS shows. The European also showing, widespread frost and freezes for a good portion of the United States, especially obviously during the nighttime hours. It may be a bit more limited than what the what the GFS is showing. But quite frankly, I do believe that the GFS, I do believe that the European may be underestimating some of these temperatures, and because we've already had freeze warnings and frosts for these areas, and I really don't believe with such an anomaly as strong as it will be that there will be only 30s across the Northwoods areas. But regardless, even if there isn't or isn't frost, it's going to be a cooler time period, and it's going to bring some nice relief to the southeast, and it's going to feel very chilly for those folks. I mean, you saw that last frame there, an hour 240. During the night, 40s and 50s in the mornings. That's pretty crisp. So that is that. That's basically all I have for you today. I could show you the ensembles. This is just a bunch of models combined. It's a very good look at what kind of the general thinking is, not just from one model. And again, the further you go out, the less accurate they are. But for short-term events, if they're showing a pretty strong anomaly, chances are it will be coming true. So again, I have pretty strong confidence that it will be very warm across the Canadian prairies and northern plains, the southwestern and northwestern, especially northwestern United States and southwestern Canada. Though again, excluding the southwestern Canada and the western United States, this cool blast will be bringing a lot of relief. And you can see that the models are showing again a pretty strong anomaly, so they have pretty good confidence, and so do we because of how confident they are. Notice they linger that cool air there for a while, though eventually the warm air does come back for at least a good portion of the United States, and whether or not that stays, makes way for another cool down, that's tough to tell. I wouldn't be too confident on saying that we're going to be seeing a lot of cooldowns. It's just a bit too early for that still to tell. I still think again that this fall will be warmer. I could show you a model run or the same model ensemble, except a model run that goes out to 800 hours, I think. So it goes out very far. You can see that after that. So again, this is late October. They're still showing warmth at this point. It's kind of like a guessing game, but they do introduce some cooler air. So maybe late October getting cooler again. We'll have to see. It's really anyone's guess at that point. So in the meantime, I would say though, warmer pattern for the northwestern and northern and northwestern, southern and southwestern U.S. and Canada respectively. And eventually with that cool down, it will cool down anything pretty much anything east of the Rockies will be in a much cooler pattern, at least for a bit. Though eventually, after a few days, that will be, especially across the northern plains, the warm air will return pretty quickly. The northeast, southeastern Canada will be a bit more prolonged, but it will return there eventually, the warm air too. And then at that point, it's it's a little bit too far out to be making predictions. But yeah, that's basically it. I will be making more updates on this. Thank you guys so much for watching. See ya. Bye.